Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Golden Butterfly Film Studio channel. So, All Quiet on the Western Front has been nominated for 9 Academy Awards. That is amazing. They've been nominated for Best Picture, International Feature Film, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, Production Design, Visual Effects. I mean, those are just a few of their 9 nominations. So, congratulations to all of the actors, all of the cast and crew. That's a huge honor in itself, just being nominated for the Oscars. But this movie is based on the 1929 novel with the exact same name by Enrique Maria Remarque, and it's takes place in Germany. And this movie came out last year, but it's basically a German epic anti-war film. It's set in the closing days of World War One, and it follows the life of an idealistic young man named Paul Baumer. He is a 17-year-old soldier, and after enlisting into the German army with his friends from school, he finds himself really exposed to the realities of the war and really shattering his early hopes of becoming a war hero when all he could focus on is surviving the next day. So I feel like this film is so powerful in regards to the horrors of war, especially, World War One, which is the plot line, the storyline of what this film follows. But all wars are just horrific. I mean, they not only affect the soldiers and their families, but also the civilians. So let's go ahead and get into the plot of All Quiet on the Western Front. It's 1917, 3 years into the First World War, and 17-year-old Paul Baumer enlists in the Imperial German Army alongside his school friends Albert Kropp, Franz Müller, and Ludwig Baum. They listen to patriotic speeches by school officials and unknowingly receive uniforms from soldiers killed in previous battles. So after they enlist, they are deployed into northern France, and they're befriended by, his name is Kaczynski, but they call him Cap. He's an older soldier. So because they're young men, they had this very romanticized ideation of what war would be. They were hoping that they would, be war heroes. And when they get there, it's shattered by the realities of trench warfare on the Western Front. And as soon as they get there, one of their friends unfortunately passes away. I'm not going to tell you who, but it's heartbreaking. So on November 7th, 1918, it basically shows that the German High Command are trying to talk with the Allied powers in order to come to some kind of agreement, which obviously doesn't work. And meanwhile, we have the young men who are, again, they're just teenagers, so they steal a goose from a farm to share with their other friends. And, they've grown close and they're trying to retain their humanity in the midst of the horrors of war, which I find very powerful. And so one of the friends is illiterate, and he has Paul read him a letter from his wife, and he worries that he won't be able to, you know, assimilate back into peacetime society once he leaves war. And another one of his friends spends a night with a French woman and brings back her scarf as a souvenir. That's very important, actually. But I won't tell you why. You'll have to watch the movie to find out. So on the morning of November 9th, we have General Friedrichs. He and the German delegation are on a train and they negotiate a ceasefire. So then Paul and his friends go on a mission to find 60 missing recruits sent in to reinforce their unit, and they discover that they were killed. Okay. I'm not going to tell you how they were killed, but it's pretty bad. So then Paul's regiment is sent to the front to prepare to attack the French lines. On the morning of November 10th, the Supreme Allied Commander, Ferdinand Foch, gives 72 hours for the Germans to accept Allied terms with no room for negotiation. Meanwhile, the German attack takes the French front line after hand-to-hand combat, and their counterattacks. There's airplanes, there's flamethrowers. Like they're really going at it because it's the World War, right? So um, we have one of the men in Paul's friend group are separated, and another one's trying to surrender. So he's, receiving the the real life atrocities up front in his face consistently on all sides. And this affects, again, not just him, but also his friends' families. It really is a world war. It affects everyone on the globe at that time. So he's trapped in a crater, and Paul has to make a life-changing decision. And if you've ever felt trapped, you're in a fight or flight response. And so in a war, Paul gets into a struggle for his life. And again, I'm not going to spoil the details, but it's pretty riveting what ends up happening. And Paul does come out of it alive because he's the main character, so I'm sure you already guessed that. But what he does while he's in the trenches is life-changing. So I'll see that. So Paul returns to his unit, and he sees them celebrating the imminent end of the war. And he finds another wounded soldier, and he gives him one of his friends that scarf I mentioned earlier. So they bring him food, but he is distraught and his psyche is just completely destroyed from fighting. And he does something so drastic that it's one of the reasons why I feel like this film has been nominated so many times, because it's so good. Not the action that happens, but the reality of the truth that it conveys. And so it's masterful that they were able to convey the emotions of the soldiers from World War One fighting in this horrific time. So around 5 a.m. at November 11th, after learning about the ceasefire, Paul and Kat steal from the farm one last time. However, the last bit of the movie, there are so many catastrophes, right? So I'm trying my best to describe the ending without giving any spoilers away. But eventually, the fighting stops and the front falls silent. And so it goes back to the title and what it truly means, because it's a colloquial expression meaning stagnation or a lack of a visible change. That's the Wikipedia definition. But in wartime, it means that there have been too many casualties, that there's been too great of a loss of life when it's all quiet on the Western Front. So with that being said, I feel like this is a powerful movie based upon this 1929 novel, and it really is a protest to unnecessary wars. And I wish that, just that we could, as people, as human beings, right, come to some sort of conflict resolution that didn't involve taking each other's life. And I will say that I'm so grateful that this film was done in a way that it was a powerful portrayal that, it starts out so young. These young men, and they were teenagers, right? 17 is so young. Your life is just barely beginning. We're in school being indoctrinated. And they had these youthful misconceptions about what war, really was about until they got there on the ground. So I really enjoyed watching this movie. I hope you guys get a chance to watch it. It's definitely nominated for 9 Oscars, and I'm sure it's probably going to sweep the Oscars. It was really, really well done. So, again, congratulations to everyone who was on the cast and crew of this movie, All Quiet on the Western Front. Please let me know if you've seen it. Also, please like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will talk with you later. Take care. Bye.